Across endless plains once shaped by human hands, machines now hum where horses once breathed. Each sunrise begins not with the crack of a whip, but the quiet pulse of circuits measuring the soil's heartbeat. Around the world, more than 1.5 billion animals move through an invisible network of truck ships and automated systems, the arteries of a new agricultural age. From the windswept ranches of Texas to the golden coasts of Australia, the rhythm of farming has changed. Steel sensors and software now guide what used to be instinct and calloused touch. But as progress surges forward, so does a quiet unease. When the machine takes over the muscle, what becomes of the soul? Can the spirit of farming, that sacred bond between human, animal, and land, survive in a world where efficiency replaces empathy? This is the story of how technology is transforming not only the way we farm, but the very meaning of farming itself. In 2025, the global livestock transport industry has become one of the most complex and connected systems on Earth. Every day, animals are moved across continents with a precision once reserved for satellites and space programs. Over 1.5 billion lives, cattle, sheep, poultry, fish, travel through networks valued at more than $21.7 billion each year. These are not just numbers. Each figure represents a pulse, a living rhythm within the machinery of modern agriculture. On the southern coast of Australia, the journey begins. Here, flocks of sheep pass through inspection gates equipped with automated scales. 9 animals per minute step onto stainless steel platforms, weighed, recorded, and cleared for departure. Each sheep, about 100 pounds of quiet resilience, carries the legacy of generations of farmers who once did this by hand. But now machines remember every heartbeat, every weight, every step, things that human eyes once measured by intuition. At Fremantle Port, the rhythm quickens. It is the world's largest live sheep export hub, a place where technology and tradition converge on the edge of the sea. Workers in bright vests walk among endless rows of metal pens as sensors monitor temperature, air quality, and hydration. Every animal receives 6 liters of water per day from automatic tanks that refill without human touch. Then comes the final step, the great steel ship, known as the MV Ocean Shearer. Towering like a floating city, it carries 75,000 sheep across 5 decks. The ship consumes 600,000 liters of water every 24 hours, roughly the daily use of 500 American households. Its voyage to the Middle East lasts up to 9 days, crossing vast, merciless waters. Onboard sensors adjust cooling systems to prevent heat stress, while caretakers walk the aisles every 2 hours. Every life aboard depends on the harmony between machine and man. Half a world away in the wide plains of Texas, the same story unfolds with different actors. Helicopters sweep low over the land, guiding herds of cattle across pastures the size of small nations. Drones record their movement, while RFID chips beneath their skin track health, age, and weight in real time. Trucks with non-slip flooring and automatic cooling systems wait on standby, ready to carry the herds to Houston, the largest livestock export hub in the United States, where 5,000 cattle are inspected and weighed each day. To some, this world feels distant, mechanical, impersonal, and cold. Yet for others, it represents survival. Each new system, each line of code reduces waste, protects workers, and saves animals from exhaustion. In this balance between necessity and compassion, modern farming finds its identity. Because behind the noise of engines and sensors, something older still lingers, the same respect for life that once guided every farmer's hand. Technology has not replaced that spirit. It has merely given it new tools to endure. Machines have changed everything, but do they make life better or simply faster? In just a moment, we'll step into the heart of a Texas ranch where tradition meets technology in a quiet dance of progress. Don't miss it. Subscribe if you believe that progress should always remember its roots. Behind every polished surface of stainless steel and every blinking light in a control room, there is a reason, a history of hardship written in sweat, fatigue, and broken backs. For generations, farmers bent their bodies to the land, trusting instinct more than instruction. But the world grew faster, the markets louder, and nature less forgiving. Technology did not arrive as luxury. It arrived as mercy. Across the ranches of Western Australia, the virtual fence has replaced miles of barbed wire. A small collar fitted on each animal carries a GPS sensor and a low-frequency audio signal. When the herd approaches the digital boundary, the collar plays a gentle tone, a warning shaped in sound, not steel. If the animal continues forward, a mild electric pulse redirects it. There is no pain, only persuasion. Farmers no longer ride for hours under the blazing sun to mend fences or chase strays through the dust. Instead, they watch the landscape from tablets and monitors, the entire herd mapped in real time. Some call this progress. Others a quiet surrender, the replacement of presence with pixels. In Texas, the sky hums with the sound of drones. They rise at dawn, circling vast pastures that stretch beyond the horizon. Each drone carries infrared cameras that read body temperatures, detect lameness, or spot missing animals long before human eyes could. On the ground, herds are guided not by shouts or barking dogs, but by AI-driven algorithms that predict movement and behavior. The system learns the herd's habits, when they rest, when they drink, where they wander, and sends alerts if anything changes. It's as if the land itself now has memory. At the heart of it all lies data. Every cow and sheep carries a digital identity, age, weight, lineage, feed, history, even genetic markers. This information feeds into a single living network that spans the globe. A rancher in Nebraska can know in seconds what once took a lifetime to learn. But progress always carries a question in its shadow. What happens when machines begin to know the land better than the people who tend it? To many, this transformation feels like standing at the edge of a familiar field and realizing the soil no longer needs your hands. The fences hum quietly. The drones return to charge. The work is done efficiently, precisely, flawlessly. Yet there is a silence in that perfection, a stillness that feels almost unnatural. Farming was never just about control. It was about care, the human rhythm that balanced the unpredictable pulse of nature. Machines can imitate that rhythm, but they cannot feel it. And so every innovation becomes a mirror, reflecting both our brilliance and our boundaries. Still, not every farmer fears this change. Some see in these circuits a way to preserve what truly matters. "I can finally farm with my eyes open," says a rancher from Oklahoma, "instead of with my back bent." From barbed wire to invisible fences, from ledgers to living databases, the tools have changed, but the purpose remains the same: to protect life, to understand it, and to live in rhythm with it. Machines now watch over the herds with precision our ancestors could only dream of. But even as they do, one question lingers, whispered through the sound of engines and wind. In seeking perfection, are we losing the imperfections that made us human? Technology may shape the landscape, but people still shape its meaning. Across the farmlands of America and Europe, there is a quiet reckoning, a question whispered over fences and across kitchen tables. What happens to the farmer when the field no longer needs his touch? In Kansas, the mornings still begin the same way they always have: the sky wide, the air cool, the soil dark with promise. But instead of the sound of tractors starting, there is the hum of data networks, linking machines and sensors scattered across the field. Thomas Miller, 63 years old, has lived through every wave of change. His hands, once blistered from holding the plow, now they rest on a tablet screen. "My father worked with his hands," he says quietly. "I work with data." But the land still knows us both. For Thomas, technology hasn't erased his role. It has changed its rhythm. He still walks the fields at dusk, still tastes the air for moisture, still listens to the soil. Only now his intuition is echoed by numbers: soil pH, nitrogen levels, livestock, health, a symphony of statistics that mirrors what he once felt in his bones. For older farmers like him, machines are not replacements. They are extensions of memory. In Yorkshire, England, the story sounds familiar. Fields of barley and rye wave beneath the same gray skies, but the barns now glow with LED monitors and sensor panels. The Brooks family has farmed here for 5 generations. Helena Brooks. 58 grew up among the scent of hay and diesel. Today she runs an automated milking system that tracks every cow's feeding pattern and milk yield. It doesn't take the soul out of it, she says. It just gives me time to breathe. Yet not everyone feels the same relief. In rural France and parts of Eastern Europe, some farmers see the march of automation as a kind of betrayal. When I was young, says Jean-Pierre, a shepherd from Provence, we called it farming. Now they call it management. His flock still grazes freely across the hills, but subsidies and policies push him toward modernization. He fears that in the pursuit of efficiency, the human patience of the land, the slow understanding that comes only with time and touch, will vanish. This tension is not just cultural, it's generational. The average farmer in the United States is now nearly 60 years old. Many of them see machines not as the future, but as the farewell, the final act of a world that once belonged to calloused hands and quiet pride. Yet the numbers tell another story. Since the adoption of automation and precision systems, transport injuries have dropped by 60%. Livestock mortality during long-distance shipment has fallen from 2.3% to less than 0.7%. And overall efficiency, water use, fuel consumption, feed conversion continues to rise. Machines are not stealing the land. They are in many ways saving it. But efficiency is not what moves the heart. It is the silence of an empty barn, the absence of footprints in the mud, the memory of fathers and sons working side by side. These things cannot be measured, and perhaps they never should be. Across the Atlantic, in Australia's dry interior, farmers face a different truth. There, without technology, survival is nearly impossible. Droughts last longer. Heat waves grow stronger. Machines are not symbols of loss. They are instruments of endurance. Without the sensors, I'd lose half my herd, says David from Queensland. You can't fight the desert alone anymore. So perhaps the question is not whether technology replaces humanity, but how it redefines it. Every beep of a monitor, every drone in the sky is still powered by human intent, by care, curiosity, and the stubborn hope that life on the land will continue. Machines may have changed the sound of farming, but not its purpose. For those who listen closely, the rhythm is still there, steady, ancient, and alive beneath the surface of progress. If life on the land has become easier, safer, and cleaner, why then are so many still walking away from it? In the year 2025, a report from the European Agricultural Union carried a warning few wanted to read. 42% of farmers over the age of 50 fear the loss of identity through automation. It was a quiet headline buried beneath stories of innovation and record harvests, yet it revealed a truth progress preferred to ignore. In the rolling farmlands of southern France, Jean-Pierre still walks among his flock at sunrise. The wind smells of thyme and dust. But as he looks toward the horizon, he sees something missing the shape of men. There used to be 5 of us, he says. Now it's just me and the machines. He stops beside a new automated shearing unit, its steel arms folded neatly against the wall. The machine hums softly, patient, waiting for work. It does in 5 minutes what used to take me half an hour. He sighs. But it doesn't look the sheep in the eyes. Across Europe, similar stories unfold. In Denmark, the rhythmic clang of tools has faded from dairy barns. In Ireland, traditional shearers, once the pride of rural festivals, now find their skills reduced to spectacle. Videos of old men working with shears trend online as nostalgia, not necessity. Machines have not failed us. They've simply made us question what success means. Progress has brought comfort, safety, and efficiency, but it has also brought distance. A distance between people and their work, between purpose and outcome, between the hands and the heart. When the hum of a motor replaces the rhythm of a hand, says Helena Brooks from Yorkshire, something is gained, but something sacred is lost. Around the world, the same question echoes: what happens when progress collides with heritage? The answer is not yet clear. Some believe tradition will adapt, that human dignity lies not in the tools we use, but in the care we give. Others fear a slow erosion, a fading of craftsmanship that once gave farming its soul. In one rural meeting in Nebraska, a farmer stands up and says, "Maybe my grandson will never know the sound of a real plow or the feel of calluses on his hands. But maybe he'll know something I don't, how to make the land thrive again." The room falls silent. For a moment, progress and nostalgia stand side by side, not as enemies, but as generations sharing the same field. Yet beneath that silence lies the uneasy truth. The future of farming may not belong to those who remember, but to those who learn to let go. So we ask again, when the last craftsman hangs up his tools and the last fence is drawn in code, who will we become? The answer, it turns out, is not found in steel or software, but in the people who choose how those tools are used. Across Germany, France, and the American Midwest, a new generation of farmers is quietly reshaping the meaning of the word itself. They are not abandoning the land, they are reinventing their place within it. The modern farmer now wears two hats, one of soil and one of science. In Bavaria, 30-year-old Lucas manages his family's dairy farm with his mother and grandfather. Every cow wears a collar that records its steps, feeding habits, and heart rate. Each morning, Lucas reviews the data patterns of rest changes in appetite or the early signs of fever. What his grandfather once noticed by instinct, he now sees in color-coded graphs. "My grandfather used to say he could smell sickness." Lucas laughs. Now the computer smells it for us. Yet the bond between them hasn't faded. He still checks the barn every night, Lucas adds. He doesn't trust silence. In the United States, similar partnerships are forming between age and algorithm. At a ranch outside Austin, 70-year-old Raymond Harris leans on the fence as a drone passes overhead mapping cattle movement. "I used to chase them on horseback," he says. "Now I chase them with Wi-Fi." Raymond's granddaughter Emily runs the operations AI system from a nearby trailer. Together, they form what researchers call hybrid farming, a collaboration between generations, between muscle and machine. In one sense, the machines have not replaced the farmer. They have extended his reach. A single person can now monitor hundreds of acres spot disease before it spreads and irrigate fields with surgical precision. What once took a lifetime to learn can now be passed on in code. The intuition of one generation encoded into the tools of the next. The benefits are undeniable. Since 2018, large-scale adoption of automation and precision agriculture has increased crop efficiency by nearly 40%. Water usage has dropped by 30%. Workplace accidents are down more than 60%. What began as a technological revolution has become for many a humanitarian one, protecting both people and animals from the toll of exhaustion. Yet not everyone sees it that way. Critics warn that the march of automation dehumanizes farming, turning it into a data-driven enterprise stripped of emotion. "Farming should be done by hands, not by algorithms," says one columnist from London. But in practice, the numbers tell a different story. On a dairy farm in Wisconsin, workers once spent 10 hours a day in repetitive backbreaking labor. Today, milking robots do the heavy lifting while farmers focus on health, nutrition, and animal welfare. "I finally have time to watch my cows, not just work them," says Maria, a second-generation farmer. The shift has not taken the heart out of her job. It has restored it. Perhaps machines do not dehumanize farming at all. Perhaps they humanize it by freeing people from the parts of labor that hurt most and returning to them the parts that mean the most. The compassion, the observation, the quiet companionship of life and land. Still, there is another question lingering beyond the comfort of these numbers. Can small farmers, those without vast acres or corporate backing, afford this new way of life? The reality is uneven. In North America, large-scale operators have adopted automation rapidly, while small family farms struggle to keep pace. In Europe, however, change is coming differently. Governments now subsidize green machinery programs, offering low-interest loans for eco-friendly robotics. In Norway, Cooperative ownership models allow small farms to share expensive equipment, turning competition into community. The machines may belong to everyone, says Helena Brooks from Yorkshire, but the responsibility to use them kindly still belongs to us. And maybe that's the point. The story of modern agriculture isn't one of replacement, it's one of realignment. Machines handle the weight, but humans hold the wisdom. In the end, the future farmer may not look like the one we remember, but his heart, his patience, and his love for the land will remain the same. Because no matter how advanced our tools become, the most important machine in farming has always been the human heart. Beneath every layer of technology, there is still soil soft, unpredictable, alive. And no matter how many machines are built above it, the heartbeat of the earth remains the same. That is where the story of the new farmer truly begins. Across Yorkshire, Helena Brooks rises before dawn. Her farm hums quietly. Lights flicker in the barn, machines stir to life, and monitors glow with data. But before she checks a single screen, she opens the barn door and listens. The sound of breathing cattle, the shuffle of hooves, the quiet rustle of straw. If you forget that sound, she says you forget who you are. Helena represents a growing generation of human-centered farmers, people who use technology not to dominate the land, but to understand it better. Her automatic feeding systems adjust portions based on the cow's body temperature and activity levels. Sensors detect stress through subtle changes in movement and alert her before illness begins. She calls it listening to the herd through numbers. But what matters most, she says, is still showing up, still touching, still caring. Across the Atlantic in Nebraska, another kind of revolution is taking shape. Dozens of small family farms have joined forces under a cooperative called Prairie Loop. Instead of each farm buying its own costly equipment, they share fleets of robotic harvesters, drones, and automated irrigation systems. A machine that sits idle on one farm moves seamlessly to the next through a shared booking network. It's not just efficient, it's communal. We grew up sharing tools, food, and weather, says co-founder Mark Jensen. Why not share machines? These cooperative models are quietly reshaping rural economies. Farmers once isolated by distance are now connected through technology and trust. The digital cloud has become a kind of modern barn, a shared space where knowledge and resources are stored, not just harvests. In Europe, similar movements are supported through the Green Machinery Transition Fund, worth more than $2 billion. The program helps small farmers adopt environmentally friendly automation, electric tractors, solar-powered drones, and lightweight robotic weeders that protect soil integrity. Governments describe it as a sustainability effort, but to those on the ground, it feels more like a lifeline. It's not about replacing us, says Helena. It's about giving us a future. The results speak for themselves. Rural employment is rising again, not in field labor, but in technical maintenance, software design, and animal health monitoring. Young people once drawn to cities are returning to the countryside, bringing new skills with them. Across the EU and the American Midwest, the rural brain drain has slowed for the first time in decades. Perhaps this is the quiet miracle of modern farming technology. Didn't empty the land, it's beginning to fill it again. On a broader scale, the transformation carries three distinct meanings. First, for the farmer, it is a restoration of dignity. No longer defined by exhaustion, the farmer becomes a strategist, a caretaker, and a data interpreter, a guardian of both tradition and innovation. Second, for the region, it is a rebirth of rural identity. New businesses grow around maintenance, software training, and precision agriculture services. Villages once fading into silence now echo again with purpose. And third, for the world, it represents a turning point, a path toward climate resilience and ethical production. Precision irrigation reduces water waste, automated feeding lowers emissions, animal welfare improves through real-time monitoring. Progress for once aligns with compassion. Yet even with all this hope, one question remains. As technology continues to advance, as drones become smarter, as sensors grow smaller, will we remember that farming was never about the tools, but about the trust between human hands and living earth? Helena looks across her pasture as the morning sun breaks over the hills. Machines help us, she says softly, but the land still listens only to people. And in that moment, between breath and soil, between silence and sound, you realize that the true heart of farming has never been made of steel. It beats in rhythm with the land itself. Beyond every screen and circuit, beyond every